Why do some people become brutally honest only after a few drinks, then wake up full of regret? The strange part is, the apology is not always just about what happened last night. Sometimes alcohol opens a door to guilt, fear, shame, and feelings they were hiding for a long time. It usually starts the same way. A phone lights up the next morning. There is a long text waiting. I am so sorry about last night. I did not mean that. You did not deserve that. Please do not be mad at me. Sometimes the apology sounds sincere. Sometimes it sounds desperate. Sometimes it comes with crying, promises, and a sudden burst of honesty that never shows up in daylight. And if you have ever been on the receiving end of that message, you know how confusing it feels. You start wondering what is real. Was the drunk behavior the truth? Was the apology the truth? Or is this just the same cycle happening again? The psychology behind apologizing after drinking is more complicated than most people think. It is not always fake. It is not always real change either. A lot of the time, it is a mix of lowered inhibition, emotional overflow, guilt, fear of consequences, and the need to repair connection fast. To understand why this happens, we have to start with what alcohol does. Alcohol lowers inhibition. In simple words, it weakens the brain's brakes. The part of you that normally filters thoughts, controls impulses, and slows your reactions gets weaker. That is why people may say things they would normally hide, start fights they would normally avoid, or become overly emotional very fast. But here is the part many people miss. Alcohol does not just lower control in the moment. The next day, it can also leave a person more anxious, more emotionally raw, and more stuck in replay mode. That is one reason people wake up feeling a heavy wave of regret, even before they fully know what happened. Some people call this hangxiety. It is that awful mix of hangover, anxiety, guilt, and dread. The person wakes up tired, dehydrated, foggy, and emotionally exposed. Their brain starts filling in the blanks. Did I say too much? Did I embarrass myself? Did I hurt someone? Did I ruin the relationship? Even if nothing huge happened, the body can still feel like danger is everywhere. That emotional crash matters, because a lot of apologies after drinking are not only about morality, they are also about panic. The person wants relief. They want to stop the spinning thoughts. They want to fix the damage before the other person pulls away. So the apology comes fast. Sometimes that apology is deeply sincere. A person may truly feel ashamed of what they said or did. They may finally see the pain they caused. Research on guilt and remorse after drinking shows that a noticeable share of higher-risk drinkers report exactly those feelings. So yes, regret after drinking is real. But real regret and real change are not the same thing. This is where people get fooled. Someone cries, apologizes, says all the right words, and for a moment it feels powerful. The honesty feels raw. The emotion feels true. And maybe it is true in that moment. But if nothing changes afterward, then the apology becomes emotional cleanup, not growth. A lot of people apologize after drinking because alcohol brings hidden feelings to the surface. Maybe they have been carrying guilt for months. Maybe they know their drinking hurts others. Maybe they feel like they are becoming someone they do not respect. When sober, they push those thoughts away. After drinking, the wall cracks. Then the next morning, shame rushes in. That is why some apologies sound bigger than the event itself. A person may not only be apologizing for one rude comment or one argument, they may be apologizing for a whole pattern, for every broken promise, for every embarrassing scene, for every time they saw disappointment in someone's face and pretended not to notice. There is also another layer: fear of abandonment. Many apologies after drinking are driven by fear that the person they hurt will leave, stop trusting them, or finally set a boundary. In that state, the apology is not only about empathy, it is also about protection. Please forgive me can sometimes secretly mean, please do not leave me. Please do not make me face what this says about me. That does not make the apology worthless. It just means motives are often mixed. Human behavior is messy. A person can feel sorry and still be scared for themselves at the same time. Some people apologize after drinking because sober life feels emotionally blocked. They are not good at direct communication. They avoid conflict. They hide sadness. They do not know how to say, "I am angry, I feel insecure," or "I think I am losing control." Alcohol becomes the shortcut. Big emotions come out at night. Apologies come out in the morning. Then silence returns. This creates a cycle that can confuse everyone around them. While drinking, they explode, confess, accuse, overshare, or break down. The next day, they are soft, ashamed, and full of regret. Then, once the emotional storm passes, they go back to acting normal. Nothing gets solved. The pain just moves in a circle. And that circle can become its own relationship pattern. The hurt person starts expecting the apology. They even start measuring love through it. At least they say sorry. At least they know they were wrong. At least they cry after. But an apology that shows up every weekend stops being repair. It becomes part of the damage. That is especially true when alcohol is being used to escape stress, trauma, loneliness, or anxiety. The person drinks to quiet painful feelings. Then, drinking creates new painful feelings. Then they apologize to ease the guilt. Then, because the guilt is overwhelming, they may drink again later to escape it. That is how the cycle tightens. There is another hard truth here. Some drunk apologies are honest, but still incomplete. A person may say, "I am sorry," but leave out the most important part, which is responsibility. They may blame the alcohol. "I was drunk. I was not myself." But alcohol is not a magic thief that steals accountability. It lowers control, yes. It raises emotion, yes. But if the same harm keeps happening, the person still has to own the pattern. That is why the most meaningful apology after drinking is not usually the longest one. It is the one connected to action. It sounds more like this: "I hurt you. I understand what I did. I am not going to hide behind being drunk. Here is what I am doing to make sure this does not keep happening." Without that final piece, the apology may feel emotional, but it is still unstable. People also apologize after drinking because the next day brings painful self-awareness. In the moment, drinking may make them louder, bolder, meaner, clingier, or more reckless. But the morning after strips away the false confidence. Suddenly they can see themselves from the outside, and sometimes they do not like what they see. That self-disgust can be intense. A person may think, "Why am I like this? Why do I keep doing this? Why can I not just act normal?" That is not only guilt, it is shame. And shame is heavier because guilt says, "I did something bad," while shame says, "I am bad." When shame takes over, the apology may sound dramatic, helpless, or overly emotional, because the person is not only afraid of losing others, they are losing respect for themselves. The sad part is that shame alone usually does not fix behavior. In many cases, it makes people hide more, deny more, and drink more. That is why someone can apologize with tears and still repeat the same thing again. Not because they never meant it, but because remorse without tools is weak against a powerful habit. So if someone apologizes after drinking, how do you know whether it means anything? Watch what happens after the feeling passes. Do they remember what they said? Do they take full ownership? Do they ask how it affected you? Do they make changes around drinking, stress, social situations, or the people they become around alcohol? Or do they just apologize, relax once you forgive them, and wait for the next cycle? That question matters because many people confuse emotional intensity with honesty. Crying is not always accountability. Shame is not always change. Regret is not always repair. Sometimes the clearest truth is not in the apology. It is in the pattern. And if you are the person who apologizes after drinking, the most important question is not, "How do I get forgiven?" faster. It is, what keeps happening before I drink, while I drink, and after I drink? What feeling are you running from? What truth only comes out when your guard is down? What damage are you trying to erase the next morning? That is where real healing begins. Not in perfect words, but in honest patterns. Maybe the answer is learning to speak before the bottle does. Maybe it is setting limits. Maybe it is stepping away from people or places that pull you into the same behavior. Maybe it is getting real support because you are tired of hating who you become. And if you are the one receiving these apologies again and again, remember this: you are allowed to listen with compassion and still expect change. You are allowed to care about someone and still protect your peace. You are allowed to say, I hear your apology, but I need more than regret. Because an apology after drinking can be real. It can come from guilt, fear, love, shame, or all of them at once. But the apology only starts the repair. It is not the repair itself. The real psychology is this: people apologize after drinking because alcohol loosens what they hide, and the morning exposes what they fear. For a few hours, the truth leaks out. Then regret chases it down. But unless the person changes the pattern underneath, the apology becomes just another chapter in the same story. And nobody deserves to live inside the same painful story forever. At the end of the day, a drunk apology can mean something, but it should not have to carry the whole relationship by itself. If this hit home for you, drop your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe for more honest videos about behavior, relationships, and the stuff people usually avoid talking about.